about a live 2019 fantasy football expert league draft that I'm drafting in right now. It's a live draft. Here are the picks that have occurred so far. It's an Instagram league, so it's a lot of awesome Instagram pages on Instagram that have a lot of traffic, or this is one of the bigger, has a group of some of the bigger experts in the industry, like football guys. We got two football guys, people in this draft. We have Pro Football Chase, who's a big Instagram account. We have the Football Fix. We have Fantasy Sharks, which is a big fantasy football content site out there. And this right here, let me just change this background real quick and fade that out a little. Okay. So anyways, guys, this is a live draft right now, and I got the 1.02 pick. So as you can see, I went Saquon Barkley. I was very tempted to go Ezekiell. He's been my number. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Michael? Michael, you're always first. Always first, my friend. Trying to get this effect so it looks a little better here. 1 second. All right. So number one was the Fantasy Sharks. They took my boy Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara has been my number one overall pick across the board in all formats. Redraft, Dynasty, you name it. Alvin Kamara is my 1.01. That is, I think, according to most ADP data and most people out there, when I talk about it, is against the grain, a little bit out of the norm. But Fantasy Sharks also agrees that they are that Kamara is the top pick in 2019. So this is live, Michael. It is a long draft, so it's like a 8-hour timer. So you're not going to see these picks come through right now. The team that's on the clock right now is Football Guys. Football Guys is on the clock with the 9 pick. They've been on the clock for a little while now. I've sent an email reminding them they're up. So it is a long draft. But yes, Michael, you can't go wrong with a top 4 pick. I agree. Is Zeke getting suspended? Michael Reyes is asking. I don't know, Michael. I think that anybody speculating and saying that he won't be suspended or that he will is really just guessing at this point. I don't think anybody knows for sure. And I think that it's crazy to act as if anybody, has concrete details on that, because they don't. So let me go through the picks here and tell you guys my thinking as to why I went Barkley. I'll tell you what I think about the other picks so far in the draft. But as you can see, Kamara at the 1.01, I agree with that pick by Fantasy Sharks. I think that's a great pick. He would be my 1.01 in any format. I think he has, he's shown he's the most consistent running back in the league, in my opinion, with the 81 back-to-back receptions. He's only been in the league 2 years, so 81 receptions in each of those 2 years. He's had at least 13 TDs in each of his seasons and over 1,500 total yards. That's the definition of consistency for me. I think Alvin Kamara is one of the hardest working running backs in the entire league. He doesn't have any red flags around his situation. Yes, you can talk about whether he's splitting time or what. You don't want the guy running for more than 210 times maybe. So anybody acting as if he's going to not get enough usage or enough carries to be this good I think that's crazy talk. What's going on, Poke? So everybody has 8 hours to make their pick. So we're going to be on the clock for a while. It's going to be a long time before the fantasy football show. Myself, Smitty, is back on the clock, but I have Barkley. I was given the 1.02 pick. I took Saquon Barkley. My thinking there was this. Okay, I have Elliott as my number 2 before this whole situation where he knocks down a security guard into a metal gate. Yes, that security guard took a flop. I totally 100% agree. Please hit that thumbs up, guys. Really helps the channel, and it lets YouTube know that this channel needs to be delivered to more people that are looking for live content right now. So please hit that thumbs up. I get that the guy took a flop. I get that Zeke wasn't arrested, but he was handcuffed. He did intimidate the guy, run him into a gate, a metal gate. The guy did fall down. If anybody says that he wasn't intimidating the guy, you haven't watched the film. I get it. He didn't hit him. I get it. The guy looks like he didn't get hurt. But when you scream in someone's face and you back them up and they back up and they keep backing up until they run into a gate and fall down. And how is the league going to look at that and say, okay, with your track record, Zeke, of getting into situations, you could call them, we're going to give you a 1 or 2 game suspension. I don't see how that's not a very, very distinct possibility here. So, but I took Barkley because, what's going on, crap man? Because I am just a little fearful that there could be a 1 or 2 game suspension, the league making an example out of them like they usually do out of most people that they get into trouble, whether they're convicted, whether there's charges, whether there's anything. So for me, yes, I was considering Christian McCaffrey. Everybody's talking about how he's putting on this weight. And let me see if I can make these a little smaller here. Everybody's talking about him putting on this weight and that it's an amazing thing. And I'll just say this. I think that there's a really good chance that he has a big year. And I do love McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey is a PPR machine. But added weight gives me a little bit of a concern because you tend to be more susceptible, I think, to injury when you change the way you're made and your frame is for the kind of abuse that you're used to taking at a certain size. So in the case of Leonard Fournette, when he lost all that weight, everybody was all excited, and he was my biggest bust prediction for 2018, Leonard Fournette. And I took a lot of heat for that because everybody loved Leonard Fournette heading into last year. He was a top 7 to 12 overall pick, which was asinine, and I think red flags all over the place on that one. He lost a bunch of weight, and with his aggressive style, that was a huge mistake because I think that I thought he was going to get hurt rather quickly because he didn't have that ability to absorb the hits like he's normally, set up to do at his size, his frame, his style of play. So I'm not saying McCaffrey's gained so much weight that he's going to get hurt, but it is a one reason to be, I think, a little bit concerned when you have other options on the table that feel a little bit safer. Now, would I take McCaffrey at number 4? Without hesitation, without question. We're probably going to take him in the followers against followers league, Fantasy Football Throne. If you haven't heard about that, it's a league where I let you guys draft my team, and I go to battle against 11 other fantasy football Instagram experts, and each of their followers draft their team, so the followers control the destiny. The followers help set the lineup, pick up the players, help make the trades. You guys do everything. In that league, we have the 4 pick. I imagine we're going to get McCaffrey, and I'm very fine with that. I'm okay with that. I love McCaffrey. I'm just saying that if I'm given the option of taking a Zeke without facing any kind of suspension, I take him number 2. I take Kamara number 1. And Barkley, to me, is a very safe, I think, 3. So, I thought about McCaffrey long and hard. I wanted to draft him. I really did. I actually selected him, and I was about to at one point. I went back and forth, and this should tell you guys, these are hard decisions to make. Drafting a guy at the top spot, number 1 overall, is a hard decision to make. If anyone tells you they've got these all ordered, locked and loaded, they don't hesitate, they don't waver on a top 4 pick, they're lying to you. I sat there for an hour deciding, do I take McCaffrey or do I take Barkley, or do I say, hey, Elliott's not going to get a suspension, let me take the guy I really, really want at 1.02. I sat there for an hour after I talked to everybody on Instagram, getting their opinion, getting you guys involved because I love to do that, get the conversation going, talking about this kind of stuff. Michael says he'd be more nervous if he lost weight taking so many hits. So a guy like McCaffrey, if you watched any film last year on him, he was amazing. He did awesome. But when he took hits, he got abused, man. He got rocked on a lot of hits last year. Just completely annihilated. But he's tough. I mean, he keep going after some of those hits and get a couple extra yards. So very tough runner. I love the guy. The guy's amazing. He's bulked up a little bit. And if you've seen the photos, he looks huge and ripped. And anytime you gain, I think, weight, you run the risk of injury because you're slower. I'm not saying he couldn't have worked on his quickness and got himself to a place where he's just as quick as he used to be. I don't know. I'd have to see that. He's been working out hardcore, training like a machine, looks like a beast. but it could slow him down a little bit. We don't know. I think messing with your makeup, messing with the frame you're used to playing at, the size you're used to playing at, is never it's never a thing that makes me feel like this could be a good thing. I'm always more worried than I am excited for somebody changing that up. So if Zeke came out and said, I put on 10 more pounds, I would be a little more worried than most people. If someone said Zeke drop 10 pounds, I would be more worried than most people. That doesn't change here with McCaffrey. I'm not saying that McCaffrey isn't in my top 4. He's locked and loaded in my top 4. Keep hitting that thumbs up. Thanks, guys. But I just have, I have a problem with, passing on, I think, Barkley or Elliott in that top 3. And it's hard for me to overlook those guys. I think they're just such safe options. I think if Zeke was for sure out of the woods with this whole suspension stuff, he would be my 1.02 for sure. But the risk of him missing 1 or 2 games made me think, okay, I'm going to go with Barkley, the safe route. You hate Zeke's face, Michael says. His goal line must only increase. You talking about Barkley or are you talking about Zeke? I think Barkley, here's my take on Barkley and why I am concerned about taking him number 2. If I knew Zeke was going to not have any kind of suspension, he'd be my 1.02. The reason for that, it doesn't mean that I don't believe in Barkley. It's that Barkley's situation, in my opinion, yeah, he's going to get fed a ton. That offense is going to run through him like 70%, 80% of the time. What's up, Warren? That's a good thing in terms of like usage in getting the touches, but at the same time, your efficiency and productivity can go way down when the offense has no other options or weapons. And if someone wants to argue Tate or whoever is going to make up for the loss of Odell Beckham Jr., or that they aren't going to plug in the rookie at quarterback at any moment, just make this an entire cluster at some point mid-season, I think that's being hopeful. And thanks, Warren. I don't know. For me, it concerns me a little bit. That's why I have Elliott number 2 if he's not getting suspended. But we don't know anything about that right now. We don't know what the league's going to do. So I think with McCaffrey, Barkley, and Elliott, there are some risk going on and some red flags for every one of them. They're all locked into my top 4. This big 4 this is the best big 4 I've seen in a while. And they're all running backs. Remember when running backs 2-3 years ago, everyone's saying the running back died, the workhorse running back's gone. Everything's a cycle in fantasy football. It's back. Clearly, the running back is back. Look at this. Kamara, Barkley, McCaffrey, Elliott, DJ, Bell, Gordon. Tell me the running back isn't back. I said it back then that it's a cycle. It'll come back around. Welcome back, workhorse running back. You now dominate fantasy football drafts. So, Barkley, McCaffrey, Elliott all have some kind of question mark to me. Not huge ones, not ones that knock them out of the top 4, but Barkley's offense concerns me. 8-man fronts, lower efficiency. Tell me how Barkley's going to live in the end zone or live in the red zone like Kamara is. Tell me. How is Barkley going to see more red zone opportunities than Kamara? McCaffrey's added weight kind of concerns me. Cam Newton kind of concerns me. Defenses trying to shut down McCaffrey kind of concerns me. His overworked 2018 season kind of concerns me. There's a lot of little tiny red flags, not a ton of them. They don't all add up to me avoiding him in the top 4. I love McCaffrey in the top 4. But all of that adds up to a little bit of concern. Elliott, decision-making, maybe some injury risk. I think people might toss a label on him, an injury risk label. But then the suspension, maybe it's nothing. Some people say, I'm going to turn. I've seen that on my page. Coming from 2 attorneys, he's not going to be suspended. I respect those guys, by the way. But I don't think anybody knows because the NFL can do whatever they want. It doesn't matter if they were charged. It doesn't matter the reasoning, like, hey, this isn't a reasonable thing to suspend somebody over, which was probably their point, which I respect, and they make sense, but the NFL doesn't work like that. So the NFL can decide, hey, you're getting a one-game suspension because you were cuffed, period. You shouldn't have been in a situation where you were getting handcuffed. That doesn't look good for the league. Guess what, Zeke? You get a 1 to 2 game suspension. I'm not arguing the right and wrong of that. I'm not arguing that the league should be able to do things like that. I'm merely saying that Zeke Elliott could get a 1 to 2 game suspension based on what the NFL does all the time. Barkley is a freak. He's on the worst team out of those 4, but he's still dominant. Yes, Michael, I agree with you. But my point is that he's not going to be as efficient, I think, as Kamara at times. So he's going to have to work extra hard for his touchdowns. He's not going to be handed a lot of red zone opportunities and goal line opportunities, I don't think. But he's capable of breaking off some long TD runs and doing a lot with the amount of usage and workload he's going to get. So that's why I took him 1.02, because that's my pick, 1.02. I did take Barkley. I'm just voicing and talking about it and getting the concerns out there that I think exist for Barkley, McCaffrey, and Elliott that don't exist with Alvin Kamara. That's why Alvin Kamara is my 1.01. Amazing offense, no off-the-field issues, hardest working running back I've seen in a long time. Perfect size and speed. Plays a lot bigger than he is. Amazing PPR guy. You don't need 200. You don't want Kamara to get more than 200, 210 carries. You just don't. He's going to get enough receptions, 80 to 90, maybe even 100 receptions. You don't want him getting over 210 carries. So talking about, oh, he won't get enough carries, that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. All he needs is 210. So Kamara, to me, double-digit touchdown lock, 80 to 90 reception lock, 1,500 plus total yard lock, if he's healthy, of course. And again, like I said, double-digit TDs. What more can you ask of a player? Barkley, you can't tell me that you're 100% certain in your gut that he won't struggle based on that offense struggling. Honestly, ask yourself that question. Could Barkley have a really tough year, a tougher year than you imagine? Can you picture Barkley seeing a lot of 3-and-outs, and they're playing from behind, and he's got to do his damage in PPR, and yeah, he could get 50 yards rushing and still get 5, 6, 7 receptions for 50 yards and still end up with a pretty good total at the end of the year or at the end of the game and have good games when he's not run a lot. But tell me, you can't picture Barkley having a year where you're like, damn it, he's not very consistent right now because the Giants freaking suck. So Kamara is just more efficient and a better option. I wish he was available at 1.02. I was really pissed that he went at 1.01. Good job, Tony. You took my number 1 player, Alvin Kamara. McCaffrey, you can't tell me you aren't a little bit concerned over the fact that he played like almost every single snap in 2018, was completely, almost overworked. You can't tell me you're completely confident in Cam being healthy in 2019. Or that offense will survive without him and be effective. We'll be looking, if Cam is out or hurt, be looking at a very similar situation as New York, where they just focus on McCaffrey. He's still going to do really well, but he's not going to do as well as Kamara in that awesome offense that literally makes it impossible for defenses to focus on Kamara. You try and shut him down in the run, he's catching 100 passes in the year, 90 passes. Like, you're not going to be able to contain him. You can't. This is a comment by Warren. I agree, Kamara being number 1, but Smitty, there isn't anything you need to be a little bit concerned about with Kamara. Not really, man. Not with Kamara. If you are, toss it out. Elliott, again, my 1.02 without the suspension threat. I worry about it. Therefore, he's, my number 3 or 4 right now. But, in 1 or 2 leagues, I might gamble on the fact that, he may not be looking at any suspension at all. Okay, let's talk about 1.05 through 1.08, and then I'll check back in with you guys later on when we have more picks and I talk about the whole, I think, top 2 rounds or maybe even 3. I'll go over each pick and kind of give you my thoughts. David Johnson going 1.05 is not bad. I think that he has huge upside to rebound in that Kingsbury offense that'll be very spread out. He'll be very efficient in 2019. Defenses won't be able to focus on DJ at all. He'll be catching passes all over the place. He'll be, running draws. He'll have so much room to run in open rushing lanes with that spread out attack that DJ of old will return in 2019. Le'Veon Bell, I like at 1.06, but I probably would go Gordon or Hopkins over Bell myself. I think Bell is a little high there. That pick was by Walter Football. I do respect his opinion and his game in fantasy football, so not going to say that's a bad pick at all. I just would have taken Gordon or Hopkins or even Adams maybe. So I like the Gordon pick at 1.07. That was by the Prophet on Instagram, Fantasy Football Prophet. Good pick there. And Hopkins, he's 1.06 to 1.08 worthy, so that's a great pick there. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting Hopkins at 1.08. Warren says Murray equals Ingram touches. Warren, honestly, man, I'm glad. This is a great point, and it's an amazing thing for Kamara. Murray being there is a good thing. Kamara doesn't need 210 plus carries. He needs about 200 to 210 carries, and then he stays completely healthy. Anything that Ingram doesn't get running the ball, he'll get it in the receiving game. So if you pull him in and run him more, and he's going to have less receptions and less action in PPR. It all irons out and levels out for me. Murray scares me zero. I have zero concerns. I'm not saying he's not a great handcuff, that if Kamara went down, he wouldn't do well. But Murray, excuse me, Murray doesn't concern me at all. It literally 0%. I think it's a good thing. People wanting Kamara to get all of the carries in that offense that has a ton of carries to go around is asking for injury. You need a Murray or an Ingram to pair with Kamara to keep him healthy. So Warren, great point, but 0% worried. I think it's good. I love it. You hate Bell at 6. Yeah, I'm not going to say he can't earn that. I'm just saying, to me, he's the 7 or 8 or 9 pick. So to go 6 is a little high for me. Probably more of an 8 or 9 pick for me. I'm hoping Bell falls further than that. I'm hoping Bell falls further than 9. Then he becomes more of a bargain, but that's really high. Latavius bothers me 0, Michael. Barkley gets 90% of the... Yeah, Michael, I totally agree. I love the fact that Barkley is going to get enough action to make up for probably being a little less efficient than I think he could be if he was in a better offense, but I still worry about him getting near the goal line as much as these other backs that I think are on the board and available instead of... But I took him number 2, so clearly I'm making a case that Barkley deserves the 1.02. I just took him at 1.02. So know that I'm just kind of going through the pros and cons. I too think right now Barkley is the 1.02. I am in agreement there. Just giving you the pros and cons. The only one that doesn't have the cons, in my opinion, is Kamara. I just see 0 risk with Kamara, other than the risk that every running back has getting hurt. So there's your top 8. On the clock right now at 1.09 is Football Guys, and I will keep you updated. Check on Instagram. I'll post the update as they go through. But this right here is your top 8 so far in the Instagram Expert League that I'm running with some of the best fantasy football sites and Instagram pages on the web. Really like a bunch of these guys. They're really good guys and also good content. So I will put a link to the draft, the actual draft tracker in the bio. Give me a minute. It might not be there right away, but I will add it. But yeah, I think I don't want to say bad pick. The only pick I don't love is the Bell pick. I think Bell is way too high at 1.06. Everything else looks par for the course. You can't argue Gordon. I mean, you can, but you can't say that it's bad. It's just, whether you take him at 5, 6, or 7. but I think Gordon at 7 is great. Hopkins or Adams at 1.07, 1.08 would be what I would probably do. No problem, Warren. You have okay. This is my last question I'll answer, and I'll jump off. I just wanted to give you guys an update. Warren says he has 3 keepers. Round 7, Damian Williams, I'm assuming. Round 8, Nick Chubb, and Kamara round 9. Oh, so those are your keepers. You don't have a question. You're just tossing out your 3 amazing keepers. Make sure you get Kareem Hunt, but awesome keepers. Good job. All right, guys. That's all I got for you today. Wanted to do a quick video and talk about this top 8. Link will be in the bio. Make sure you get on Instagram and talk about this draft. But it's been fun so far. It's going to be great. I'm probably going to have 2 players that I absolutely love with my second and third round picks. So stay tuned. Get ready. I'm going to talk a lot about this league. And I hope to do a couple auction leagues drafts with you guys so I can give you a look at what I would do in an auction and some of my strategies that I've been talking about, where I'm going to go wide receiver, Pat Mahomes, or wide receiver, and either Aaron Rodgers or Baker Mayfield. That's one approach that I want to take and deploy in an auction for you guys to follow along and see how I do. Also, my other auction strategy I want to deploy is going 2 of the top 4 running backs, so drafting like a Kamara and a Zeke, or a Kamara and a Barkley, and then taking Mahomes or Rodgers or Baker Mayfield and having that 3-headed monster, and then work the sleeper approach with my wide receiver. So you might look to see me do that approach as well. I'll try and do some videos on that here shortly, but I appreciate you guys coming by. Please hit the thumbs up on the way out, and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't subscribed already. This kind of content comes to you on the daily almost, so get ready for big things. We're only getting started here in June, and August will be here before we know it. I'll have so much content. This video will be so far down the list come August. That's how much content I crank out for you guys. All I ask is you share the show with people, get people to subscribe. Make sure you're subscribing yourself and hit the thumbs up. Saints do more with the ball. Barkley still outscored him last year in that same offense. Well, yeah, but they don't have Odell. They don't have the threat of having Odell. They don't have, I think, any. It's different when a defense like even preps for you for that season. It's like even if a guy's hurt, a lot of times people will prep for a team differently. Even as a whole for the whole offseason. It's very different when a team's saying, okay, we play the Giants in this week. People watch film on the offseason. They prepare for you in the offseason too. It's not like everything's, pre the game before. A lot of that prep does happen game before. But what I'm saying is the Giants are going to be a less efficient offense altogether. Trying to plan around not having Odell here and there is different than literally saying, okay, you are now our number 1 wide receiver, Tate, or whoever the hell it's going to be, and you're gonna run. It's just a different beast, man. When you take a component like that out of the offense permanently, it changes things, and I don't think they're going to pass the ball well at all. Have players in the past survived with bad passing attacks? Yeah. Have running backs still done well? Of course. They've improved some offensive line issues they had. I see some potential, and that's why I'm taking Barkley at 1.02. I'm only arguing that Kamara has no red flags to me, whereas Barkley does with his team and his offense. McCaffrey does, I think, a little bit with the overworked 2018 season mixed with gaining weight, which I don't think is always a great idea. I still have McCaffrey top 4 lock, complete beast. I just have more red flags and concern. Elliott, could he get suspended? Maybe not. But those are 4 players right there that are the top 4 by far. Dominant top 4. Amazing top 4. I love every single one of them. You really can't go wrong with any one of those 4. But Kamara's the only one, I think, without any red flags. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon. I'll be doing a video on the remainder of this draft. So stay tuned for that.